every business struggles and can do better. I think communication is so key and so critical that we can't do it well enough, especially for the kinds of things that we're doing.
Yeah, it really brings up a recent memory of experience I had with T-Mobile. So I've been with Verizon for a while. They have I would say, pretty good business department, business side, Verizon business. So I'm like, I'm going to switch to T-Mobile business, see how it is. In the beginning, I called him. This guy was very informative, gave me some good deals. And I'm like, all right, I'll do it. And then I get the phones. After that, I don't get a response for 48 hours. And guess what? I asked him on that first day, are you my main point of contact?
Yeah.
He said, yes. Of course. Yeah. So then I'm thinking, I'm going to get his phone number. Nope. He's just only available via email. So then I sent an email because we were having porting issues, right? And anytime that you have issues that involve your wife, they get magnified by 1,000. I'm not saying anything about her.
Sure.
It's for me. I don't want to let her down.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't want to disrupt her life because of my stupidity and my, now looking back, error of choosing the wrong cell phone company. And my point is that he promised all these things in the beginning, but then there was no follow through. There was no help. There was no assistance with porting. I was having errors with. I had a watch. My daughter has an Apple Watch. This is so important for her because she gets a little anxious, and this is how mommy texts her and says, I'm 5 minutes away. This helps tremendously. Guess what? That's not working now. So now she's at school, no watch, feeling anxious because, again, these broken promises.
Right.
And now guess what I have to do? Yesterday, went to Verizon. I had to basically beg and plead and say, I made a mistake, guys. I'm coming back. And goodness gracious, they have a person that is dedicated to business.
Oh my gosh.
Customers.
Perfect.
She sat with me for 4 hours.
To work you
walked me through every single step of the process. Not only that, she somehow got an approval to give me all the deals that they do for new customers who are technically only for new customers.
I've seen
even though
commercials like that.
Yeah, but I mean, long story short, it just shows you that yes, you could have great marketing because T-Mobile marketing is great. I love the pink, magenta, all that stuff. Commercials are great, all of it. They have great speeds with their internet. So the service is great. The product is great. But
execution,
the follow through.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy that we can't get human beings available for other human beings when they need help. Why are we running away from that?
It kills me. We've had these kinds of conversations over and over again. And I love that because I always say, like, if you have a bad experience, you share it with, and you just shared it with who knows how
But
many
also
people.
the good experience too.
Yeah.
You want
Oh,
Verizon
absolutely.
Business? I'm vouching for them right now.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm super pleased to hear that kind of conversation because I often feel like I'm the only person having a bad experience, and I'm like, it just must be me. But it does leave kind of a weird taste in your mouth, and just kind of what I said about doing business. That's one of the things that I don't want people to ever get from me, right? So I want to make sure that I'm leaving the right taste in somebody's mouth because we're supposed to be setting the right example. And if I'm the person who's detracting from your experience, then I'm actually really hurting everyone.
But here's the undesirable consequence is it doesn't matter if you're doing it, you're still part of that company.
Oh, I know. And that's
So you hand them off and they don't treat them right. It doesn't matter.
Well,
they're thinking, hey, this guy's still part of that company.
The whole slogan about like support small business. This is an adjacent thought. I was again having that conversation about leadership and management, and then we were talking about entrepreneurial spirit. Here's the thing: you're the dad of a small business, an entrepreneur, and you're going home, and that entrepreneurial spirit then now is impacting your entire family. So as you're a leader, the lifestyle that you live and the lessons that you're able to give and all of the rest of that kind of stuff teaches your whole family a certain way of life. Now imagine these other entrepreneurs, like if they don't invest in their business and they're not doing those kinds of things, then they're also missing out on the investment in all of those people that are right there along with them. So T-Mobile, in this case, they have a person who doesn't care, who probably goes home, who doesn't care, who probably lives his life in a sense that doesn't care. And that's kind of where our world is kind of headed right now.
which is mind-boggling.
Right.
I mean, just me personally.
Yeah.
And I agree. I mean, as a Christian, we work hard for God. That's enough. That's enough motivation to give our best.
But for anybody else,
But even if you're not a believer, it's called reputation.
put in something, right?
How do you
Sleep
how do
at
you
night.
not care about your reputation of being lazy
Right.
and with no follow through?
Yeah.
How do you not care about that? It's like, and then you complain that you're not getting hired.
Yeah.
What?
It doesn't make any sense. I feel
It's
the
full
same
circle,
way.
right?
Yeah.
It's the little things. I think that's where a lot of people will overlook is, oh, it's just a little minuscule, tiny thing. So then, it's not important.
Yeah.
But all those add up.
Yeah.
And that is so important in business.
100%.
You know what we need to talk about?
What's that?
Buc-ee's.
Buc-ee's. Good
Have you-
business.
have you been to a
No, I have not been.
Oh, goodness.
They're
So,
opening one in Missouri.
I'll
go to the one when
that
it's in
needs to be a
Missouri.
field trip for all of our leaders in the business because Buc-ee's has got it down. And I'll be honest with you. One of our employees, she's a huge fan.
Okay.
And I need to apologize to her multiple times, but I thought she was nuts. I'm like, how do you love a gas station?
Right.
Like you're literally going out of your way to go get snacks.
Yeah.
Like,
I
but
can't
then-
fathom what this thing is.
no. You're looking at the critical guy here.
Right.
And I walk in and I am just amazed. It's just, it's hard to explain.
Okay.
Starts with the gigantic store, but then the organization, every snack, I could not find one snack bag that was like not pristinely straight. with
Really?
all the other ones. And then to finish it off, you go to a gas station. The last place you want to go is
Bathroom.
the bathroom.
Oh my gosh, especially on the road.
Not only do they have private bathroom stalls, they have a full-time attendant in there. So after you do your business, this person goes straight into there and cleans it.
That's magical.
You know what this is called? It's called oversourcing an area in your business.
Yeah.
Because it defines you and it's a differentiator compared to all the others.
Oh, 100%. How do you think? I mean, are they nationwide?
They're getting there.
They're growing then?
This is now in the South. I think it started in Texas. Then it goes down to Georgia, Tennessee.
Southern
Now it's
hospitality.
coming.
They're
Yep,
doing
it's
it.
coming.
And they're bringing it
coming
north.
to Missouri. But I'm like, if you want a degree in business, you want education, go to Buc-ee's.
Man, I tell you, that's the stuff they talk about. They don't teach you about taxes. They don't teach you how to buy a house.
Yes.
They should take all these kids to field trips to Chick-fil-A and Buc-ee's and all
Chick-fil-A
of
is
these.
number 2. I
Man,
mean,
they're
that's the
right
other
out
one.
there. They're
Yeah.
really good.
Oh,
People
my-
who are just differentiating themselves. It's
just,
amazing.
but it really comes down to operational excellence. And we all have these grand ideas for a business.
Yep.
But can we deliver that promise?
Right. Oh, man.
Almost
Delivering on the
perfectly?
promise every single
Yes.
day with consistency is brutally difficult.
Yeah. I just whenever I go to a business, I always think, are they going to deliver that promise? And it's not easy because we struggle too.
And when you have that standard and you're always looking for that standard, it's amazing how often you just kind of come away and it's not bad, it's just not good. And so, like, what scares me is there's so many people out there that are like, eh.
I know. Here's something to think about. I've always felt this, but then I heard from a recent book that I read. I think it was maybe Steve Jobs. I don't know. It doesn't matter. People can feel excellence.
Yeah.
They can feel it.
Yeah, 100%.
They don't notice it,
Right.
But they feel
Yep,
it.
the aura. Steve Jobs, they always talk
Yes,
about.
and I
He was
was
crazy, but
he was a little nuts, but he was definitely on. If he said this, then this is so important because the details in a business is really always going to be first noticed by the detailed-oriented people. But then you have people who don't care.
Yep.
Or they say they don't. But then they actually do because they don't consciously notice it. They feel those details.
Right. That reminds me of Simon Sinek, as they talked about the kind of laggards versus early adopters. It's almost like that, where the beginning of that are people who understand the details, and the laggards are the people that just truly don't ever care what, they're in that Phillips 66 dirty bathroom and they were okay with it.
They don't care.
Like, I don't know.
Just give me somewhere to
I just need
do my
someplace.
thing, and
Yeah.
I'm happy.
I don't know why I said Phillips 66 there.
Yeah, you kind of.
Threw somebody under the bus. I feel bad now.
What's the difference between service and hospitality?
Oh gosh, that's a great question too. I don't know that I've.
First thing that comes to mind.
First thing that comes to my mind is like serving others in hospitality, serving someone. Hospitality is being open to people. Service is taking care of people, in my opinion. That's what comes to my head. I know hospitality is kind of similar, but in my world, hospitality spaces can be things like casinos and stadiums and event centers. And service is what we do, and that's the actual work that goes into making the customer satisfied.
So the book that I just finished is called Unreasonable Hospitality.
Okay.
Written by a former GM of a Michelin three-star restaurant
Okay.
in the middle of New York.
Okay.
And he took that restaurant from a 1 star to 3 stars. And he all revolves this progress on what he coined unreasonable hospitality.
Okay.
And there's all these different stories.
Yep.
So service, I would say, like restaurant is such a good experience or good example because the service is like, get my food on time, don't make me wait a long,
Yep.
while, whatever. Yep. But he's saying the unreasonable hospitality is tuning in to the customer's kind of things that is going to wow them. So, for example, he was clearing away the table, and he had people that sitting there, and they were talking about they were visiting New York. They did everything, but they did not get to taste a New York hot dog. So what he did was he ran outside, got a hot dog, got one of his all-star chefs, 3-star chef,
Yep.
cut it up, made it all fancy, and brought it to them. He said, I mean, this place, you're spending at least $1,000,
Right.
if not thousands.
Okay. Yeah.
And he's giving them a hot dog.
dog.
He said he's giving away bottles of champagne, all these different things that have a tremendous amount of value. He never saw a reaction from a table than from that
The hot dog.
experience.
That's funny.
That is unreasonable hospitality. That's hospitality. This is what I'm always after.
Yeah, you've been searching for that for a long time, is the idea of really truly getting to know the customer and doing things that are special and unique and whatnot. It's got to be. It's a constant focus. And I don't know that those are moments that are repeatable. Those are moments that you're always waiting for, though. And when they come up, they're memorable because they're real. Like if you tried to find one for everyone, you'll die trying, I bet. But if you're open to when these opportunities come up, and there's the difference between, should I do it? The answer is yeah, you should. And that's probably the difference. People that are closed off to the idea of taking that extra step.
Yeah, I think it's just establishing that relationship and listening.
Yeah.
And also remembering.
Right. Oh, the remembering is critical. We talked about execution.
I mean, even for salespeople.
Yeah, learning and
so
growing.
good.
Yeah.
At talking.
Yeah.
Right. Breaking the ice.
Yep,
And they, let's be honest, pretend they're listening.
Pretend. Yeah.
But they don't remember any of the
experience.
details.
Right.
You got to remember the details.
That's what the CRM is for.
Exactly. I mean, fine, but that's okay, right?
Right.
The fact that you took the effort to actually put it in the CRM is huge.
Yeah, you get it.
But you got to lean on that,
Right.
Right. And there's another book called Giftology.
Oh yeah,
Remember
I have
that one?
book. Yeah.
Yeah, that was good. Basically, what they did is they sent these extravagant things for anniversaries, stuff like that, custom knives. But I'm so interested in that because I think it really takes that business and makes it more human.
Oh yeah, and unique and different. Kind of what you said about Buc-ee's with the way that they've cleaned everything up perfectly. When you are the individual who's going that extra step, I think again we talked about being memorable moments. That's what does it. Yeah, I'd love to see that.
Yeah. So you, I would definitely say your strength, your gift is rallying people to go after a goal and conquering that goal.
Gosh, I hope so.
Well, I mean, that's what you're doing now.
I hope so.
And it seems like things are going well.
When you're in alignment with your purpose, I think that's a powerful spot. And I talked about early in my life how I wasn't in alignment. And I think the more in alignment with those sorts of things, the more powerful my opportunities have become. And so now I feel like I'm in my biggest role yet, even though like my heart loves to work with the kids and the young men and women that were turning into adults and going off to college. That was big. This one just for some reason feels like right up there with it, where I've got this group of people that are rallying towards something, but maybe from a position that they've never heard the messaging before. I don't know what it is, but this feels really good for me.
So how was the change from teaching 10-year-olds to 70, 60-year-olds?
I don't know. It's the same. It's funny is I always used to think when I was teaching kids, it's like they're all the same kid. And as you learn about personality, you've got like 8 different personality types. They're all the same people. So now instead of 8-year-olds, it's like you said, 60-year-olds or whatever. But everybody still has that personality. And I think working with that and understanding who they are and finding common ground and being consistent and open and honest and transparent, things that we've always talked about, has just the same result. It's the same result all over the place.
You have a favorite book?
It's funny. We started a book club at work. And so we've been going through a bunch of them. And I'll say I don't know that I have a favorite book, but if I could ever recommend books to people, John Gordon always comes to the top of my mind. It's an easy read. It's got really good lessons. There's some biblical base to it. And I think every one of them is something that I've enjoyed. I've never gotten a John Gordon book that I hadn't been like, I would never do. I would recommend all of his books to people.
Energy Bus?
Yeah, Energy Bus. And there's like a shark book that's a little itty bitty tiny small book that's powerful. The one about a dog that's pretty cute. And Seed, Pumpkin Plan is another big one. And a lot of those are just really good stories that stick with you a little bit.
Do you have any type of, like, you're high energy and you are
Caffeine,
a worker.
Caffeine.
I know you drink a lot of caffeine, but that starts to wear off and you start to get used to it. So why do you work so much?
Man, you're hitting me with the hard ones today. You know what? I don't think I have a good balance. That's an area of my life that I feel like I don't take very much for personal. But I said earlier that I feel like I work like the Lord would want me to be working. And I listen and I take time off when I feel like I'm supposed to take time off. And I actually sort of get mad at people if they're pushing me to do negative things with my time. So I like to feel like I'm productive and I'm doing the right stuff all the time. And more importantly than that even is the people that I'm delivering service to, I want to be ready for. So I feel like I'm setting that example to all of the people who report to me, that when there are reports that are due or numbers that are there, that I've got all of that information. So above and beyond the idea that I'm doing it for the right reasons to get started, then I'm also doing it to make sure that everybody else around me understands that hard work yields the results that you need, and that I am trustworthy and supportive of what they're trying to do. So I know all of, like I said, if you say numbers, for example, but of the deals that are going on and everything else. So I want to put in that work to continue to maintain that high level of trust and transparency with my group. And I never take a day off because I don't really have anything else that I like to do more than that.
You love to work.
I do. I don't know why.
You know what, though? The Lord calls us to work.
Yeah, I did it at the studio, too. It'd be like 9 to 9, 12-hour days, or just is what it is.
Yeah. Any other books that come to mind?
Let's see. The last book we read, you'll probably giggle at this one, was Traction.
Yeah.
That's the last book that we read.
You guys read that?
We did.
Wow.
And
you're going to implement?
Well, I've been trying to. It's actually one of the things when I first got there is no real operating system, and there also wasn't really a leadership group, right? So I kind of cobbled together a couple of people that are sort of in leadership roles and started going through weekly meetings and kind of setting goals and targets for people, problems, trying to uncover what the problems are and finding solutions for those within our scope, obviously. And then that was basically the first year, which was, it was kind of the first year for me to learn what I was doing. And then this year was our first year of really implementing that. And so now here in Q3, we read Traction with the idea in mind that in Q4, we'll do a planning session and we'll move into kind of a little more structure for 2024 to just keep that moving forward.
I have to say the Entrepreneur Operating System, EOS, has been a game changer for us.
All right.
Oh, my goodness. Just with getting things organized, having a purpose for the meetings, having an agenda has been so helpful. and it just keeps the crazy guy who's the quote unquote visionary on track.
Yep.
Really getting used to tracking the numbers and getting everybody else to also look at the numbers, because the numbers don't lie.
Yep.
And the older I get, the more I've become obsessed with data and numbers, because numbers and data don't have any emotions,
No feelings.
no
Yeah.
feelings. It's like it is what it is, and it really can point you in the right direction of, most importantly, where is the hole? Where's the leak?
Yep.
Why are we not getting?
Right.
But without the data, you can't figure that out.
Yep.
It's all about just
I
feel.
spend so much of my time doing that. Just giving people around me, like right now, just like you said, where's the leak? Say, for example, somebody's got 50 accounts that they're managing, and that's a lot of work that you have to be able to do. And if you can't quickly see who have I not reached out to, who have I not been talking to, then you can't serve the customers the way we need to. So providing structure to that has been super powerful for those guys, because it instantly leads to a spot where they can put their thumb in the hole and seal off the leak.
Right. It's just making sure that you're putting all your energy in the right direction.
Yeah.
Not just everywhere.
Right.
And that's how I used to run the business.
Yep.
And the other one is accountability chart.
Whew.
That's so important, which
is hard.
they also call it the organizational chart.
Yeah.
But if you don't
There's
have
some subtle nuance to that.
If you don't have one, then who
Yeah.
reports to who? Who are you? Who's responsible for
chaos.
what?
Yep.
Right. And I'm guessing that's what you guys had to do as well.
Right. Yep. For again, with me kind of implementing that in just the sales team, it's a little bit more complicated than what it would be in the full totality of the
Right.
business. But we kind of mirror it for sure. Without the roles, and even with roles, I think we've had an interesting time trying to get people to. I can't really say that. I think we understand it, but to actualize it is kind of the next step, right? For us to execute on what your role is. Before you had no role, and now I've given you a role, and now you're like living up to that role every day. I think that's the big challenge.
So you're having your employees or your team read.
Well, the leadership team.
How many
So
people?
there are four. Four of me. 4 plus me is 5.
Okay.
Yeah. So out of the 12 to 15, and I say 12 to 15 because we have some open spots now, but depending on the time, there's been 12 to 15. 10 of those are just sales reps or similar.
Yep.
And then the next group up has been my sales managers and let's say our engineering team or something similar. And those are the people who all of the sales people have to go through and they have to work with. So I've kind of sort of doned them as managers. They're not exactly a manager, but they are kind of a leader role. Yep. And so that group I've been trying to nurture into constantly bettering ourselves, finding information, growing as leaders, and kind of imparting that sort of wisdom, and then letting them know that our sales team is going to come to you, and when they come to you, I want you to have knowledge and information so that we can guide them, and then filtering that down so we kind of create some sort of structure and communication thread.
I found that because I'm a really obsessive reader of nonfiction, kind of business, obviously the Bible. But then you find one and you really want everybody to read it. That is such a difficult task to get everybody on board with this new concept, new idea.
And I said earlier, I go, if you don't have time to do it right the first time, when do you have time to go over and do it again? And we've got managers now, they're busy. They're like, I don't know, I don't have time to this. And I want to stop people, and I do stop people, and I kind of challenge the thought a little bit. It's, if you're not growing, if you're not making yourself better, is this the right spot for you? Like, is there something that you could be growing towards? Because that stagnation doesn't lead to success. And it wouldn't matter to me if there was another book you were reading, right? Okay, sure. Like let's maybe we could align ourselves with one way or the other. But when you're not doing any, then I struggle. And I ask a lot of people about professionalism. I'm sure we've probably talked about Kobe Bryant before and his relentlessness in the gym and getting up earlier and doing things. Those are the kinds of things that led him to be great. And obviously he's one in a billion, but all of us have that kind of, all of us have the ability to, whether we have the dedication or the commitment or whatever to actually do it is a different story. But we all have the ability to constantly learn, constantly grow, constantly challenge ourselves and constantly learn from our mistakes. And I feel like that's kind of the thing that when you get to stagnation, you just stop doing. Now you're just kind of floating, and life might be good, might be bad, but you're no longer propelling yourself. And that's where I think that's a fear of mine.
I think that's such a tricky combination where that naturally should come. And I think that starts with interest. If you're interested in something, or even if you have the motivation in some shape or form, you're going to do that naturally.
Yeah.
Right? So, for example, I always go to the extreme. Let's say a family member has some sort of medical condition. What are you going to do? You're going to start reading about it. You're going to start you're going to look up every single tiny thing about it and hopefully find some sort of cure because the motivation is extremely high.
Right.
My thing is, how do you get aligned with something, maybe that's your career, that you naturally do that? And nobody has to die.
Yeah, right.
It's like, it's there.
That natural alignment, and I've challenged people in this way too, is like, if here's where we're going, this is the vision. If you don't like it, let's have some conversation about if you're here for the right reasons, if this is what you're wanting to do. And there's nothing wrong with that. And it's so wild that people don't want to have those conversations. But even just when you get to the spot where you're saying, I don't want to leave here. I need the paycheck. Leave there. Leave there. Do
For
everyone
everybody's
around
sake.
you a favor. Don't stay for that.
Yeah.
But I don't think the good leadership, the things that we've talked about, they've never been given the confidence. They're not following a path or a plan. They're missing out on that. So they hold on to things. I think I've heard you say like hoarding and holding on to your finances as an example in one of your recent episodes here. Is it's the same thing. People are holding on to this because of the fear of moving on to something else, but because they're not being guided by anything more powerful than their own self-interest.
Yeah. I mean, I can't, I'm not sitting here saying you got to, follow your passion and do all the things you love. Like if you're a video gamer, if that's your hobby, I'm not saying go and become a professional video gamer.
Yep.
But here's the thing. There are many things. And then the other part of this is, let's say you're in a job that you probably should stay in. There's ways that you, in my opinion,
change it. Yeah.
You can change it, but also you can find little things in that job that
you
actually
do
you have
enjoy.
interest in.
Well, we go through this at church all the time too, and they talk about it, and we've talked about it a little bit even today, is if you're called to do that job, you could be called to be an accountant. It's the most boring job in the entire world, but if you're called to do that job, do it with all your heart, all your energy. And so I think that's probably what trips me up a little bit, because that's the way I live my life. And I try not to impart my views on all of my team. I try to model that behavior. That's what I want and that's what I expect. So then the people who may not have the same view or same thought process is maybe there's a little bit of fight between those two.
Yeah.
And that's where you probably get in the world that there are a lot of people that can't fathom what you just said about finding something in that job and committing yourself to the role you've been given.
Well, the motivation comes from the Lord,
Yeah.
just like everything else.
Has to. Any self-interest will fall away at some point in time.
It's all temporal, and the only thing that's long-lasting is God, and that's why we work hard. We don't do it for our boss. We don't do it for a customer. We don't do it for anybody other than the Lord
Doesn't do
Almighty.
you any good to do that.
And that's enough.
Yeah.
Plenty.
It's
plenty.
more pressure than most of us need all the time. Right?
But the good news is He's right there with us.
Always.
And He never gives us anything that is too difficult to accomplish.
I love that. That's one of the
Yes.
things that I talk about all the time.
So Commenco, we should have talked about this earlier, but you guys do RF radio.
I like to call.
I always screw that up. Tell me how to say that, please.
It's Commenco.
No. The RF.
Oh, it is RF as well.
Oh, it is called that.
It is.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
what radio frequency is.
So
where it started.
Like police officers have those.
Above and
mics.
beyond all that. But yeah, absolutely. That's part of it. Company started in 1951. It's an ancient company here in the Kansas City area. I mean, that's pretty old, 70 plus years. And it was a Motorola service shop, as we were talking about service earlier. Yeah. Motorola sold everything direct, and they needed people local to be able to do the installations and things like that. And so it kind of turned into that on a contract basis. Over time, Motorola Solutions, I guess I could make that clear too, There's the cell phone version of Motorola,
Right.
and then there's Motorola Solutions, which is the safety and security side, and that's where we are. We don't do anything with cell phones, so don't call me looking for repairs or whatever.
I need an upgrade. I want the new
Yeah,
iPhone
if you
15.
need what was the old Razor or whatever? I think
Right.
is-
I want the Razor. They came out with that again. Anyways.
Yeah. So it turned into sales and it became radio sales for a long period of time. But Motorola Solutions has now pivoted and they're moving into safety and security space over the last, I'd say, about 5 years, honestly. They always did 911 services, but now they're doing camera, door access, incident management softwares. There's more and more body cameras. There's in-car cameras, stuff that are, like you said, police and fire, but also all commercial and industrial spaces.
So if somebody wants to get a hold of you guys, what's the best way to do that?
We got a website, Commenco.com. You can go there or check us out on LinkedIn. LinkedIn/Commenco is kind of in there as well. And all of those are good ways for anybody to find out more.
Excellent. Thank you for coming on the show.
Yeah,
Thank you for your many, many years of friendship.
for sure.
This guy is one of my closest friends, and I've really enjoyed this conversation.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me.